We live in a world where people judge value by appearance, confidence by volume, and success by titles. If someone walks in quietly, speaks softly, or doesn't look the part, they're dismissed before they're heard. That day, she didn't demand attention. She didn't try to impress anyone. She didn't raise her voice to compete in a room full of egos. She simply asked to see her balance, and the millionaire laughed, because arrogance laughs first. But here's the truth: real power doesn't announce itself. When the screen turned on, silence replaced laughter. Numbers don't argue, they don't explain, they don't beg. They just exist, undeniable and unforgiving. Silence is one of the most misunderstood traits in our world today. We live in a time where the loudest voice often gets the most attention, where confidence is measured by how boldly someone speaks, and where success is assumed to belong to those who dominate the room. Because of this mindset, silence is frequently mistaken for weakness. A quiet person is assumed to lack knowledge, authority, or ambition, but this assumption couldn't be further from the truth. Silence does not mean absence of strength. In many cases, it means presence of control. People who are secure in themselves don't feel the need to constantly announce who they are or what they have achieved. They don't compete for validation because they are already grounded in their own reality. Their calmness is not hesitation, it is discipline. Their restraint is not fear, it is confidence that doesn't depend on approval. History repeatedly proves this lesson. Some of the most influential leaders, thinkers, and innovators were not the loudest in the room. They listened more than they spoke. They observed while others performed. They understood that words lose power when overused, but silence, when paired with action, creates impact. A person who speaks less often chooses their moments carefully, and when they do speak or act, it carries weight. Silence also allows space for strategy. While others rush to prove themselves, the quiet individual is often gathering information, calculating risks, and preparing outcomes. They understand that reacting emotionally can expose weakness, but patience builds advantage. In a world driven by instant reactions, silence becomes a powerful form of control. Most importantly, silence protects potential. When people underestimate someone because of their quiet nature, they lower their guard. Expectations drop. Pressure disappears. This creates room for growth, execution, and unexpected success. Those who mistake silence for weakness often reveal their own insecurity, because true strength doesn't need to announce itself, it simply exists. So when someone speaks softly, stays reserved, or chooses not to engage in unnecessary noise, it doesn't mean they have nothing to offer. It often means they have everything under control. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is preparation. Silence is confidence waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Arrogance has a habit of revealing itself before intelligence does. It speaks quickly, laughs loudly, and assumes superiority without seeking understanding. When someone laughs too early, mocks too soon, or dismisses others without knowing their story, it is rarely a sign of strength. It is a sign of insecurity disguised as confidence. Arrogance rushes to judgment because it fears being challenged by the unknown. People who are arrogant often rely on surface-level indicators of success, appearance, status, titles, or money to measure worth. They believe these external symbols give them authority over others. This belief creates a dangerous illusion that being ahead in one moment guarantees dominance in every situation. As a result, they stop listening, stop learning, and stop questioning their own assumptions. Laughter becomes their shield, a way to protect their ego from uncertainty. But arrogance is impatient. It wants to win the room before the facts arrive. It laughs before the full picture is revealed, assuming the outcome is already decided. This premature confidence blinds people to reality. They underestimate quiet individuals, unconventional thinkers, or those who don't fit the expected image of success. In doing so, they expose their greatest weakness, the inability to see beyond their own perspective. Arrogance also creates emotional distance. When someone laughs at others, they close themselves off from growth. They replace curiosity with judgment and humility with pride. This makes them fragile because their confidence depends on always being right. The moment evidence appears that challenges their belief, their certainty collapses. What once looked like dominance quickly turns into embarrassment. True confidence behaves differently. It observes before reacting. It listens before speaking. It doesn't need to laugh at others to feel secure. Confident people understand that there is always more to learn, and that anyone, regardless of appearance or demeanor, may carry unexpected value. They respect uncertainty instead of mocking it. When arrogance laughs too early, it creates a false sense of victory. It celebrates before the result, assuming the game is already over. But reality has a way of humbling those who rush to judgment. Facts arrive, results appear, and suddenly the laughter fades. What remains is the realization that arrogance didn't just misjudge another person. It exposed itself. Arrogance isn't confidence amplified. It is confidence untested. And untested confidence rarely survives the truth. Real power moves differently. It doesn't seek approval, doesn't ask for validation, and doesn't wait for permission to exist. Unlike fragile authority, which depends on recognition from others, true power is self-contained. It is rooted in capability, preparation, and certainty. When someone possesses real power, they don't need to announce it or defend it. They simply operate within it. People who rely on external permission are often trapped by fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, or fear of being misunderstood. They hesitate because they believe legitimacy comes from others' acceptance. Real power rejects this idea. It understands that credibility is earned through results, not granted through applause. Those who are powerful don't waste energy convincing others of their worth. They invest it in execution. This is why truly powerful individuals often appear calm in situations where others feel the need to dominate. They don't rush to speak over people or assert themselves aggressively. They know that control is more effective than noise. Their confidence comes from preparation, not performance. They act when the moment is right, not when attention demands it. Real power also refuses to be limited by assumptions. When someone underestimates them, they don't protest or correct the misunderstanding. They allow it. Why? Because they understand that being underestimated removes resistance. It creates freedom to move quietly, strategically, and effectively. Power that needs permission is easily blocked. Power that moves independently is unstoppable. Another defining trait of real power is accountability. It doesn't blame others or seek excuses. It owns outcomes fully, successes and failures alike. This responsibility strengthens authority because it proves reliability. People may question words, but they trust consistency. Most importantly, real power is patient. It doesn't rush to prove itself because it knows proof will arrive naturally. It waits for the right moment, the right evidence, the right outcome. When that moment comes, permission becomes irrelevant. The results speak clearly, without argument or explanation. In the end, real power isn't about dominance or control over others. It's about mastery over oneself. And self-mastery never requires approval. It only requires action. In a world full of opinions, assumptions, and carefully crafted images, numbers remain brutally honest. They don't care about confidence, status, or how convincing someone sounds. Numbers don't respond to emotion, and they don't bend to ego. They simply present reality as it is. This is why numbers hold such power. They strip away illusion and expose truth instantly. Words can be manipulated. Stories can be exaggerated. Appearances can be staged. But numbers cannot be argued with once they appear. They don't need explanation or justification. When numbers are shown, debate ends. They speak a universal language that everyone understands, regardless of background or belief. This is what makes them so powerful and at times so uncomfortable. Many people rely on perception to establish authority. They talk confidently, dress the part, and create an image of success. As long as no evidence is required, the illusion survives. But the moment numbers enter the conversation, perception either becomes reality or collapses entirely. Numbers force accountability. They reveal what has been done, not what was claimed. This honesty is why numbers often arrive quietly but land loudly. There is no drama in their delivery, yet their impact is immediate. One glance at a screen, one figure on a statement, one result on a chart, and suddenly, opinions lose relevance, respect shifts, power dynamics change. The truth becomes undeniable. Numbers also remove bias. They don't care who you are or where you came from. They don't favor confidence over humility or noise over silence. They measure output, not personality. This makes them the great equalizer. Someone underestimated moments earlier can instantly command attention once the numbers are revealed. At the same time, numbers reward discipline. They are the outcome of choices made consistently over time. Planning, patience, effort, and restraint. They reflect habits, not luck. This is why those who rely on real results don't feel the need to explain themselves. They trust the numbers to do the talking. Ultimately, numbers are honest because they have no agenda. They don't flatter, and they don't protect egos. They simply exist as evidence, and when evidence appears, truth becomes unavoidable. Success is commonly imagined as something dramatic. Loud entrances, bold declarations, expensive appearances, and constant visibility. Society teaches us to associate achievement with extravagance and attention. Because of this, when success shows up quietly, calmly, and without display, it often goes unnoticed or is misunderstood. Simplicity is mistaken for insignificance, and restraint is mistaken for lack. In reality, simplicity is often the result of mastery. When someone truly understands what they're doing, they remove unnecessary complexity. They focus on what works and eliminate what doesn't. Their actions look effortless not because the journey was easy, but because the learning has already been done. What people see as simple is often the final stage of deep experience and discipline. Those who are truly successful rarely feel the need to impress. They don't chase validation through appearances or constant explanation. They understand that performance doesn't need decoration. Their confidence is internal, not performative. As a result, they move through spaces without demanding attention, letting their consistency and outcomes quietly speak for them. Simplicity also provides protection. When someone doesn't advertise their success, they avoid unnecessary comparisons, jealousy, and resistance. Staying understated allows freedom. Freedom to think clearly, act strategically, and grow without distraction. It keeps focus on progress rather than perception. Many people underestimate simple success because they expect struggle to look chaotic and achievement to look flashy. But the opposite is often true. The most stable success is calm, it's organized, it's intentional, it doesn't rush or overreact, it operates with clarity rather than noise. This misunderstanding creates a powerful advantage. When others overlook simplicity, they also overlook capability. Expectations drop, pressure disappears. Meanwhile, the work continues quietly, steadily, and effectively. Then, when results finally surface, they seem sudden, even though they were built patiently over time. Simplicity isn't lack of ambition, it's refined ambition. It's success that has nothing left to prove. What truly stunned everyone in that moment wasn't what appeared on the screen. It was the realization of how wrong they had been before it turned on. The numbers didn't just reveal wealth, they exposed assumptions. Long before any evidence appeared, minds had already made decisions. Judgments were formed based on tone, appearance, posture, and expectation. The shock came from confronting the gap between belief and reality. Assumptions are short, cuts the mind takes to feel secure. They help people quickly categorize others into familiar boxes: successful or unsuccessful, powerful or powerless, important or irrelevant. But these shortcuts are dangerous because they replace understanding with comfort. When people assume, they stop asking questions. They stop listening. They stop seeing the individual in front of them, and only see the story they've already decided to believe. The screen forced an uncomfortable pause. It interrupted the narrative everyone had agreed upon. In that pause, people weren't just processing numbers. They were processing their own misjudgment. That internal realization is often more painful than being proven wrong publicly. It challenges ego, self-image, and the belief that we are good judges of others. This moment reveals how often society equates value with visibility. If success isn't obvious, it is assumed to be absent. If confidence isn't loud, it is assumed to be weak. These assumptions shape how people are treated long before they're truly known. And once those assumptions are exposed as false, the embarrassment isn't about the mistake, it's about how easily it was made. The screen didn't change reality, it revealed it. The reality had existed all along, unnoticed and underestimated. This is what makes assumptions so fragile. They feel solid until evidence arrives. And when evidence does arrive, assumptions don't fade gently. They collapse. In the end, the greatest lesson wasn't about wealth or status, it was about perception. The shock came from realizing that the truth was always there, waiting quietly, while confidence and certainty were built on nothing more than guesswork. So remember this: the loudest voice is not always the strongest, the richest smile is not always backed by results, and the most confident laugh is often the most fragile. Some people don't walk into rooms to be noticed. They walk in already knowing who they are. They don't rush to explain themselves because time is on their side. They don't fear being underestimated because they understand its power. The world will judge you before it understands you. Let it, because when your moment comes, you won't need to defend your story. You won't need to raise your voice. You won't need to prove anything with words. All it takes is one moment of truth, one screen, one result, one undeniable reality. And when that moment arrives, silence will speak louder than laughter ever did.